function for a computer company. It's given by P of x equals negative x squared plus 38x minus 11, where x is the number of units produced in thousands, and the profit is in thousands of dollars. So that's the problem. The problem is going to disappear, but the equation will stay. Determine how many thousands of units must be produced to yield a maximum profit. So here's my question for you. How am I supposed to know how to do that? How do I know where the maximum profit is? What? It's the highest point on the graph. Well, how do I know where that is? It's a quadratic. Quadratics have two choices. They either do this or they do this. They open up or they open down. Which one is this going to do?
Open up.
Open down. How do I know that?
Is it negative?
Because I have a negative leading coefficient. So it opens down. The highest point on my graph is the vertex. So I can find the vertex using completing the square, and that will tell me how many units need to be produced to make a maximum profit. All right. I'm going to let those of you who were here on Friday do that yourselves. And those of you who weren't, I'm going to come talk to you. So go ahead and work on the problem.
So we're, I don't understand what you just said to do.
You're completing the square, so you can go ahead and pause while we're doing this part.
Asked, you would actually have to write the 350,000 because I didn't say what is the maximum profit in thousands. All right. What's the next question? Determine how many units should be produced for a profit of at least $40,000. Ideas?
40,000.
Plug in 40. Plug in 40 into the y value. Now I have a question, because it says at least. Does that mean I have to make this an inequality?
No.
No? I can make it an equation?
Yes.
I've got to vote for an inequality and I've got to vote for an equation.
Greater than or equal to.
How many of you know how to solve a quadratic inequality?
I forgot.
By the way, you can't square both sides.
I learned it once.
So no matter what you do, even in the process of solving a quadratic inequality, you would make this an equation, find out where it's equal, and then decide, do I want the stuff to the left or the stuff to the right? Okay, that's left and that's right. I'm left-right challenged, it's okay. But I make it equal to and I solve. So what happens when I make this equal to? So I will say, you guys tell me I do 40. Do I do 40,000 or just 40?
40,000.
Which one? Why 40? Because if you go back to the beginning, it said the profit comes out in thousands of dollars, and so this is 40,000s, so I only need the 40 part. So 40 equals negative x squared plus 38x minus 11. Now what?
Make the x a positive.
No.
I don't need to complete the square. Completing the square, I only need to do when I'm looking for the vertex.
Add 11.
Add 11 or subtract 40? I've got votes for both. Which one do you guys think would be good?
Subtract 40.
Subtract 40? Okay, so I get 0 equals negative x squared plus 38x minus 51.
Let's see.
Yep.
Right here.
What?
Sorry to interrupt, but did anyone find a brown wallet in here?
Did anybody find a wallet anywhere? Where did you sit?
Right up here.
Right over here?
Do you have any money?
Yes, it did.
Was it the last class?
Mhm.
Mark didn't say anything, so
Okay.
you guys don't see it on the floor.
Makes sense.
I didn't see it up there.
Come on, have a seat. Next to Big
No,
Papa.
we just got sunglasses. Now what? What do I do now? Oh, come on, you guys understand.
Can't you just take out the negative?
Okay, and do what with it?
Multiply both sides by -1.
Okay, so I'll have 0 equals x squared minus 38x plus 51. Okay, now what?
Now you can factor.
Can I factor that?
I don't know. Can you?
I don't know if I can factor that. I look at it and I'm not seeing factoring myself, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means I may not see it.
Do a factor
But as
tree.
somebody pointed out, it's a quadratic formula. Any quadratic
Factoring
formula I
tree?
can solve using, excuse me,
Yeah.
any quadratic equation I can solve with my
Quadratic.
quadratic formula. So I will have x equals negative b, which would become what? 38. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, so negative 38 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 51. And all of that is divided by 2 times a, which is 1. Now I pull out my calculator. Calculators are our friends. Let's see. And I have, when I'm, do this, I have 38 plus or minus the square root of 1,240 divided by 2. So that will give me, let's see what the square root of that is. Yeah. By the way, the square root of 1,240, I got to be 35.2136337, and so on. That's not very nice, but I will do 38 plus the square root of 1,240 divided by 2, and that will give me I here get 36.60.
Can you do 124 times 10?
8, that looks good. And then when I do minus, so when I do minus, I get x equals 38 minus the square root of 1,240 divided by 2, and that gives me 1.3932. So basically I have 2 points here. On my x-axis I have a point here at 1.3932,
Do this.
and I have a point at 36.6068. And up here on my y-axis, I have a value at 40 where my graph runs into these things. I don't know what the rest of the graph looks like, but what does it look like in between these 2 points? Yeah, it arches, so it's going to go up and come back down through those two values. So which one of those 2 values do I want?
The positive one.
They're both positive.
I mean the one for us.
It says how many units should be produced for a profit of at least 40,000. So the lower one, but is the lower one enough?
Both.
You have to use both. I have to kind of use both. What I'm going to be asked is, what is the lower end that will help make this profit, and what is the higher end that will make this profit? So you have to be between, how many units is this?
Look, I got the same thing. I did 34.
1,393 units, because I multiplied that by 1,000. So between
Yeah,
1,393, notice he tossed
I
off
like
the
it
2.
that
Should
way.
I round up for
Sure.
that then? So make it 1,394.
No.
She doesn't
Why
teach it.
not?
2 is round down.
She doesn't teach it.
Don't think about reality here. The 1,393, am I making a profit of 40,000? Not quite, I'm a little below. So I really, if I'm talking about whole things, I would need to go to the next whole number.
Yeah.
What about this one? What would this be?
The hardest thing I ever done was cancel.
36,600, and somebody just told me 7. Am I making a profit of 40,000 on the 7?
No.
No, because remember the graph started coming down after this point, so on that one I have to go to the other side.